Hey everyone, welcome to Creativity Connects with Mikki Wilson, a creative collective podcast where we go beyond the brand and dive deep into the real journeys of women in business. I'm Mikki Wilson, your host, a fellow team member at Creative Collective and the founder of Dot Connector Consulting. As the Dot Connector, I love bringing women together, creating spaces and places for real connections, and helping build collaborative relationships that move your work forward. Creative Collective is a business support program that provides modern resources, strategy, and community for small businesses and creators. Through this podcast, we're highlighting the incredible women in the Creative Collective membership, sharing their relatable stories, the messy middles, and the meaningful moments that rarely get seen but definitely deserve to be celebrated. Today, I'm talking with Amber Newbury and Laurie Moran of Die With Your Boots On. And this conversation is going to be as intentional and inclusive as their brand in business itself. So, hello, ladies. Welcome, and thank you for being guests on the podcast. How are you doing today?
Doing great. Thank you for having us.
Of course. Thank you. Hello. I love this. This is going to be good. This is going to be the three of us, but you are my first dynamic duo, and I love women who support women, so I can't wait to dive into this conversation. So let me tell our guests a little bit, our listeners a little bit about you both. Amber Newbury is the founder and owner of Die With Your Boots On, a bold, unapologetic indie goth shop based right here in Salem, Massachusetts, known for its commitment to authenticity, size, inclusivity, and creative expression. Laurie Moran is their special projects manager, and she brings her own vision and expertise to the team, helping to expand the shop's impact and reach. And together, they have built something that's not just a store, but a true space for community and connection. So today we're diving into the story behind it all. And Amber, I will say, it is you and your husband that are the owners of Die With Your Boots On, but you are more of the face, right? Hubby likes to stay off camera. I love this, but I want to acknowledge him too, because this business thing is hard for all of us.
It really is.
So I love it. I want to be as accurate as possible. So I love to dive into the who, the how, the why that leads up to the businesses we have, why we show up in what we do every day in our own creative way. So I'll ask a question and I'll let each of you respond. You two work together, so I feel like there is synergy here and you're just going to bounce right off of each other. So I will not lead you in this one.
It remains to be seen.
Yeah. I love this. So the question I'm going to dive in with first is, you've built something so expressive and unapologetic, but before we get into the business, I would like to know who each of you are. What identities or life experiences shaped the women behind this business?
That was a big no-no. I started with an
We love it, because here we just keep it real.
I was going to say I just turned 40 the other day, and I still don't 100% know who I am. So I feel like that's a good place to start, simply because I think that what we do at Die With Your Boots On is very much about figuring yourself out and finding your expression and putting it out there and like making the outside of you match the inside of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of where it all started. Was I spent a lot of time in the past in places where I was not able to express on the outside what I was on the inside. I grew up in a hyper-religious family situation, and then I worked in a lot of corporate jobs where it was polo shirts and slacks and khakis, and you couldn't have any sort of personality going on there. So yeah, Laurie?
I am fat, and I have been my whole life, and I'm queer, and I'm loud, and I have no filter.
Accurate.
I'm also 45 years old, and I know that I'm those things, but I don't know much else about what I'm supposed to be when I grow up. Here I am.
I love this. No, you know what? I love how this is starting off already, because you're making me feel at home, because there are some people that just know what their purpose is or what the passion is that drives them from like a young age. And like, I still don't know. Like, I thought I knew what I was finally because I'm considered a grown up, technically, I guess. But I find that I'm always reinventing myself. So do we truly know who we are, or is this just an evolution? So I appreciate that candid honesty, because I think a lot of us are still trying to figure it out. And when you even think you have it figured out, I don't know, you wake up the next day and you're just questioning it all over again too. So I love that.
Hilariously, Laurie and I were both theater majors in school.
Fun.
I am a dropout because they made me do math when I wanted to make music and be on the stage. They made me do math, and a lot of other reasons. But I totally thought that that was my trajectory. I was going to go to school and I was going to play piano and be on the stage, and that was going to be my life. And clearly, I mean, I have a stage in my store, but it's a whole different stage scenario.
It's funny how these things come back to you, right? How they come back full circle. But yeah, I love all the things that you share between like the intersections of like our identity, how we show up, do we ever really figure it out too? But many things, but the one thing I love too is just that through what you're doing now, that experience of not being able to show up as who you are, right? The 9 to 5s, we all know what 9 to 5 dress is required. And I want to say I teach a lot of networking, but it's not the networking I actually teach. I just teach people how to amplify like their presence and be comfortable showing up in a room. And I use fashion to drive that a lot because I think fashion's a great conversation starter. Yeah, it's the confidence. You can show up feeling comfortable because let me tell you, there's nothing worse when you wear that outfit that you have to like tug and pull or just wasn't made for you, whatever it is. But the thing that you wore to ultimately fit into this crowd of people, so there's that. Being able to wear what makes you feel not only comfortable but confident and just be able to show up. And then the part I've just noticed is when you wear cool things or unique things or different things, somebody in the room is going to come up to you and ask you about it. They're going to ask you where you got it.
We joke all the time at networking events that we don't need to actually actively go up to other people and talk to them. We just stand in the corner and be goth and wait for people to come to us.
Just saying. Look, I feel like there's a future collaboration in here because we need to teach more people this. But that's the tool that I teach people, especially it doesn't even really matter. I just think it's a cool tool, but introverts, right? Because they fear just going up to the groups of people or the things. And I'm like, no, just wear something that's you and cool. I don't care if it's the red lip, if it's bat earrings, if it's any of the things.
We have toad purses if you need a conversation starter.
If you need a friend.
Yeah, is also like you can pet the toad and it'll make you feel better, but also everyone's going to be like, oh my God, look at that bag. So it's like the perfect introvert like social tool.
I regret that I did not bring my toad today.
That's all right, because I think we might need to bring this to the people at some point. So, because my dots are connecting, and I'm like, I just see us being fabulous friends and collaborations, and you have a stage. The stage has come back to you, and so what can we make possible? But I love that. The showing up is who you are. You don't even need to have it figured out. You're already showing up. In the way that feels good to you. So I really appreciate that. And I think people can take away from that too. Because, again, if you don't want to talk to people, a toad purse or whatever it is, it's going to get the people talking to you. And I say it attracts the right people too, right? Because there's only so many people that are drawn to very
to
specific.
A toad purse.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, some people are drawn to telling us that they don't like it, but those are the people that we don't.
That's interesting.
But we will know whether that's not somebody that maybe we can convince them otherwise.
I love that. You know what?
I actually like to use the toad purse when I'm going somewhere less eclectic than Salem. Because, actually, sometimes I just outright forget that I'm weird. Because Salem is just so accepting of all things
Very
strange. True. But when I go back home or when I go and visit a town in another state or another country and am immediately getting the like, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm weird.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Right.
Well,
I forgot about that.
I love it. We're in our own little weird microcosm here, and I love it too because the uniqueness of everything. So this is fun. This is fun. I love this conversation. I'm also like coming to the shop now to check out the purses because I need a new conversation starter. So there's that. So let's get into the how a little bit. Can you tell me how did Die With Your Boots On come to life, and how did you both find your way into building and expanding this vision you both have different roles, so this must look different for both of you as well.
So when I started Die With Your Boots On, I had come out of years of abusive corporate relationships, we'll call them. So working for big corporate companies that I came to hate very quickly. And I had a year that was sort of like a midlife crisis where I had lost some friends and family members in a very short amount of time. And I started to have the realization of like, oh shit, life is really short and I should maybe not devote all of my smarts to these companies and make millions of dollars for GameStop.
Yeah.
Maybe I should, try and do this on my own. So that was sort of where the idea came to life. And in Salem, I don't know how well anybody listening or watching this is going to remember, but we used to have a goth shop in Salem called the Fool's Mansion. And it was a lot of fun. The owners were really cool. We used to go there and like have after hours parties.
Yeah, they used to do like art
out.
shows and have parties. It was really fun.
And the owners went on to bigger and better things, and the Fool's Mansion closed. And I was really sad about it at the time, but I was like, oh, it's okay. Someone will come in and pick up the reins and do it. And then I waited, and I waited.
And then it was like 3 or 4 years later, and no one had opened up another
nobody
goth
had
clothing
done it.
shop at that point. Yeah,
And I was like,
maybe even longer than that.
I can go out and I can get another job, or I can let this simmer for a little bit. And then I ended up getting a job with Witch City Wicks. I was one of Liz's first employees working there, and I went into it very much with the mindset of I'm going to start my own business. And she was like, well, that's great because I can, help you figure this stuff out, and you can help me get this thing situated, and we'll, figure things out. She was amazingly helpful in getting me started on the right track to get the store open. But yeah, I didn't want to devote the rest of my life to these big corporate companies, and I saw an opportunity, and I went for it.
Love it. And we love that you went for it because you're doing big things. Laurie, what about you? How did Die With Your Boots On come into your life? Were you here to see?
I have been
the
here
progression?
since its birth, but I was not always an employee.
Okay.
I've been Amber's friend for since 2006,
16 years?
7, something like that.
17 years.
Yeah. And we have done a lot of things together. And I mean, when we opened up the shop, when Amber first opened up the shop, every hour I wasn't working at my full-time job, I was helping them set up the store. Because like my best friend is trying to accomplish her dreams, and what better time to do to spend than to make it happen. So yeah, I was there on opening day. But I wasn't an employee until a few years ago when they finally grew enough that they could afford me. Yeah.
Wasn't an employee.
Yeah, I know. I used to work. I mean, yeah, I worked all the time, but I didn't technically work for them.
Yeah.
But you just help your friends when you can help your friends. I had a full-time job in a male-dominated industry, but it was another small business. But it wasn't. Yeah, I liked it, but I got passed over for a promotion deep into my tenure there. I had been there for 15 years. And at that point, I was kind of like, okay, guys, are you big enough that you can hire me yet? Because I'm done with this place. And they took the plunge. Yeah. And Amber was like, yes. And Nick was like, what happens if this doesn't work out? What happens if we don't make enough money to be able to afford you? And I was like, I get another job. It's okay. Hey, we're not going to ruin our friendship about this. It's fine.
I'm the big ideas, and Nick is the wait.
Yeah. Wait, can we afford this? Yeah.
Let's think about this. And I'm just like, let's go.
I didn't have a job interview, but this conversation happened over drinks in a kiddie pool in my backyard.
During the pandemic.
Oh, this is the best job interview. Can we bring those back?
Where I finally convinced Nick to take a chance. And yeah, here we are.
I love this story. Oh my God, there are so many connections in this story, but I really love this story because you have the cheat sheet in front of you, so you know the way that I close out this thing. But I love talking about support. I love the story of women investing in women, women supporting women. And I think that for all of us that own a business at one point or another, we have that one friend that either shows up for us unasked or the friend that we can ask for the help but doesn't complain about it. And I think it's a great transition to be able to go from being the friend that just shows up whenever you have time and to help your friend build this incredible thing, but then also to be able to invest in your friend and then bring her on board because I have dreams of that. So to me, that's aspirational and to see how that plays out. And we love Nick because he sounds like he was more cautious that he didn't want to fail you at the end.
Correct.
Like, what if this doesn't work
Yes.
out? Not like, what if anything else?
Yeah.
So
And I was like, dude, I'll get another job. It's okay, friend. It's okay.
look, I love profitable partners and not just profitable in the sense of making money, but I think that relationships are very profitable in the sense that they can fill us up, fill our cup during not only the good times, but the difficult ones too. So I just appreciate you sharing the how because it really has a lot of nuance between the evolution of the friendship and that people actually can work together in business and still be successful because people are quick to talk about the horror stories and I'm not saying it's always easy.
Oh, God.
Of course.
But to be able to have that foundation is a beautiful thing to see.
I like to also joke that even though, we work together now, we also worked together on a small publishing house called Funded Publications before this. And then before that, we also used to have a yard sale every summer. In my yard.
Amber went hard on advertising. She made some amazing posters and like.
I'm a marketing person at heart, if I'm honest. I would go into magazines and pull like stuff out of magazines and come up with puns to go with it.
So our friendship has always been a working relationship,
Yeah.
not intentionally or unintentionally. It just sort of has always
a creative working
Yeah.
relationship.
I was going to say it sounds more like a creative partnership, right? It's the working relationship part of it, but you guys are partners in creativity. We all need the yin to the yang, right? The ideas person, but somebody that can also see the vision and help us implement it and do the fun and wild and crazy things, right? So I'm here for that.
Doing publishing together because we were both writing and also editing like each other's work taught me a lot about how to say the hard thing,
Ooh, yeah.
how to kill your darling, like metaphoric darling, and how when things aren't working in stories and stuff like that. That I think goes a long way to having friends and like very close friends, almost family, working together because I know that can be a tough situation.
It is sometimes.
But we've had this background where it's like, okay, I'm going to tell you a really hard thing, but you have to kill this
But
character.
And it's going to be okay.
It's going to be okay.
You definitely highlight the importance of communication and that transparency of like, look, this isn't going to be the best, but we're going to get through it. This is what we do. So I love the communication, the whole friendship, partnership dynamic and the creativity behind that. And the final thing I just want to touch on in here, because again, you're speaking to my heart. I think especially for women in business, one thing we've shattered is like, we can't do this thing alone. We need support. We need each other. And we're our own economic powerhouse. But the other through line there that has come up when I talk to women is the experience that some of us have in the corporate setting, that feeling of being boxed in. But Laurie, you also touched on an important point. I've talked to a few of them now. Women being passed over, overlooked for promotion or their ideas, or even the fact that sometimes your identity can get wrapped up in, trying to achieve that next goal or the more too. So I just appreciate you both kind of touching on that corporate lens, because a lot of creatives, not all, but a lot of creatives struggle in a corporate environment, especially when you're like the cool weird kid or the weird or however we identify. I was like the nerd all the time. That's my identity as high school, but like being the nerd, right?
We love a nerd. We're nerds too.
Look, oh my God.
We're not really the cool kids.
Look.
We just made our own space and decided what was cool.
Larry's cool now, Lori.
That's funny part is like all of the things that we were, like all of the things that we naturally were, like coming into fashion now. So I love it. Like everybody's the nerd and the weirdo, but it's I think it's important to recognize that creating more spaces, having more communities where people can just be them and be seen and be heard and not have to explain that, or even worse, hide that or tamp it down or whatever. I was horrible in court. I call myself an unemployable entrepreneur because everything in that rule book that they give you, like no tattoos visible or whatever, I was like, I will get them to fire me. I'll get the tattoos. I'll wear the things I'm not supposed to. And they still didn't fire me. And I was just like, okay, well, that's it.
When I left one of my last corporate jobs, I said, I'm going to get a sleeve tattoo. And then I quit and I started my sleeve tattoo and I was like, we're going to go all the way onto the hand so that I can't even hide it under a sleeve. And then there was like a turning point and there was not so much animosity toward people with tattoos in professional spaces. Yeah. But at the time, it felt huge because I was like, okay, they can't have me anymore. That's it.
We're the OG influencers, I have to say. We broke the mold early on because now it is like you can show up for the most part and be who you want to be. And
is it going to be, although they're revising a lot of places, corporate places are now revising their
an unfortunate circumstance.
Yeah, so,
Well, good luck to them finding all the employees that don't have some kind of body ink or dyed hair or anything.
Yeah,
I know.
At this point.
Yeah,
sure.
So it's going to be interesting times ahead of us. But that's why I love entrepreneurship, because we find a way to do it the way that we want to do it, which leads me to the why, because there's a lot of experience that leads us to how we show up, how we serve people, and the awesome things we create. But on those really hard days, I find it's the why that actually gets us out of bed, allows us to show up when we don't want to, or, navigate the difficult times. So my question here is, why does this space, your business, Die With Your Boots On, matter so much to you both personally, not just as business leaders, but as individuals?
For me, it is seeing people be able to come in and dip their toe into things they've never dipped their toe in before. Mm-hmm. So if somebody is 40 and they always loved like a goth aesthetic, but have always been too afraid to try it, or were unable to try it because of previous jobs or, whatever was in their way, they can come in and try it with no judgment. And we've seen people entirely transform their wardrobe in our store. Mm. We also get people trying on dresses for the very first time in their life to experience wearing on the outside what they've always wanted to wear on the inside. Yeah. And then also kids who come to the store and they see our employees just being their best selves and living their lives and looking the way that they want to look. And it's empowering for them. They'll come in and they'll buy their first pair of like wide leg trip pants, which was a running theme for me as a goth teenager to have a pair of trip pants in the 90s. Or, for example, a friend of mine who was an author, Kat Scully, brought one of her kids into the store and she fell in love with the tote bags. And she really wanted one, and she saved up all of her birthday money and then came back on her birthday and bought one of the tote bags.
That's awesome.
And then thanked me in the most polite way. She said, I just wanted to say thank you so much for having this store and for having these tote bags. And I was like, yes, we are creating a better, weirder future for the youngins.
Yes. I mean, excuse me, I just think of myself when I was a kid and there's no rules for creativity and being able to express, at least I think, although I laugh because my parents were like, what are you wearing now? And I'm like, I'm expressing myself, But those little moments where your customers come in and you have those very personal moments that are not for everybody to see, right? Trying on a dress for the first time. Because you've wanted that moment for so long. It's very special to be able to go someplace and trust people to not only allow you to have that moment, but to share that moment with you. I love the littles when they come in and they just see the different things because, look, it's no surprise. We live in a world of fast fashion and mass production and these things. So it gets harder and harder to find unique things and things unique to you too. So I love that you're building that customer experience. And I think because you two are awesome, I think a lot of it is probably your touch in the business too on the different parts, because this is what I know about buying patterns right now. People are very picky about spending a dollar, right? And
Yes,
so I think there's something to be said about going into a shop that allows me to express my unique self, but then also being met with awesome people that represent that boldness, that authenticity. The word authenticity gets used all the time though, but that like boldness to just be you. I think that's a very cool thing. And not just the littles need it, I think the adults too. So
for sure.
yeah.
I think that it's been very special on my end. We've been in business for 7 years, but even from the very beginning to see people come in and for the first time feel like they're in a space where their personality is seen.
Mm-hmm.
And also, like, from my perspective as like the owner of the company and being involved in any of the selling or like being on the social media, having people like look up to me for that was an unexpected side effect. But I think also our employees have that same experience where they come in, they're like, oh, it's a retail job in a cool store or whatever. And then they will find that they have those experiences where somebody is experiencing their first thing with them and they come in and they want to have what they have and like reflect on the outside the way that they're reflecting on the outside. I think that's really cool.
I do too. Laurie, what about you? What is your why? Because you're handling really cool projects and events and you see a whole other side to the business. What is the why for you?
So fashion-wise, it's really cool to have a place that I can shop that has my size. Because I am like an 18-20. I have size 11 feet, and my whole life I have been fat and always been in plus sizes. And there were incredibly limited options growing up in the 90s for where I could shop, and nothing stylish.
Right.
We used to get the Delia's catalog, and I literally die over all. I could not buy a single thing in that catalog. I could go to the Pretty Plus section of the JCPenney outlet.
Yep.
When I was a kid, and that was the only place I could buy clothes.
Yep.
So those were the only things that came in my size. And then it was like I got to be an adult, and it was like Torrid was cool for like a second, and then they weren't anymore, and they stopped doing like goth styling and alternative styling. And Lane Bryant is the only other option, or get luck of the draw on the internet. But now so many companies have been springing up that do more plus sizes, and from the beginnings, ever since I've just been Amber's friend advocating for like, hey, can we get this in plus sizes? Like if we can have everything we sell in plus sizes, that would be amazing. And it's pretty close. There's once in a while they'll get something that we were like, Amber really, really wants it, but we can't get it in plus sizes. Or Amber really, really wants it, but it doesn't come in a woman's size 11 or 12.
Those are usually just for me.
Shoes. Yeah. But the vast majority of what we sell goes through at least a 3X. We have 4X, 5X, 6X in some brands. Most of our shoes go to a women's 11 or 12. We have stuff that goes even bigger than that. And we're always striving to be a place where like you can actually shop when you can't shop. Like you literally just can't go to the mall. For plus size people, they can't. They just can't go to the mall.
No,
Like,
you're so right.
So yeah, and we're always trying to find new brands that do more inclusive stuff. So there's that
if
aspect.
anybody's watching who makes those things.
Yeah,
And
we
also, we
love
tend
it.
to ask our vendors as well. Like if somebody isn't making an extended size that we want, we will pester them.
Yeah.
Not just ask them, but every time we're talking to them, like, hey, you don't think you could do like a 4X?
We have ended a relationship with a vendor who kept promising us plus sizes and never delivered. And we just decided not to buy from them anymore because if you're going to keep saying yes and then not actually doing it, then that's it. You know what I mean? You have to at least meet us halfway.
Yeah.
So there's that. And then, we get to do a lot of fun events. We do a lot of community events. We do a lot of fun things. We have a lot of drag shows. Miss Diamond Wigfall, local celebrity drag queen, organizes a lot of stuff. And it's a lot of fun. And another venture that we had done in the past was Daughters of Darkness, which was a femme-led business, creative, dark business market. And so we already had experience with trying to like have small makers, like bring them forward and try to help give people a platform, that kind of thing, which we're kind of continuing with the store. So like that, organizing a lot of people to show up and do a thing comes naturally because of the stuff that we've done. Yeah, I'm like, who do I need to email? Give me a list. I'll email all the people. I'll keep bugging them. We'll get stuff together. We'll plan things. Yeah.
That's good because I'm not good at emails.
Look at this. The part.
Special projects manager equals sending a lot of emails.
And making a lot of phone
projects.
calls.
I love this because what I hear basically is that like mission, that underlying why that you've created with the inclusivity and really thinking about others, working with your vendors and really asking them to do the things that not everybody asks for, down to the markets and working with people. Like, people are invested. You have built a community through Die With Your Boots On and the events and everything that you do. And I love that. And I think access is so important, right? I know in this day and age, like, talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion can be a hot topic in society. But I always go back to access because I am a plus size girl. And I remember how many things I couldn't wear that I wanted to wear throughout, probably even still now, if you give me 5 minutes to think about it. And then I hit a point in my corporate life where, no offense, Lane Bryant, you took care of me for as long as you needed to. But I started showing up and seeing people dressed the same as me. Mm-hmm. And that's
so limited, yeah.
Yeah, and it's limited. And so when you speak to that, I just imagine that, again, you have customers and people that are going to be connected to you and find you that are just like, I can actually go someplace where I don't have to feel like I don't have access to things that I want.
We don't have a plus size section. Like, there's no section of clothing that's plus size. Every section has plus size thing. The whole place has got plus size stuff in it. Yeah, there's no section.
The intentionality. I know, right? Because even now when you make me think of it, even working in I used to work in a department store, so even the section is like sectioned off.
In the back of the store.
Yeah. So look, I love that you are bringing the fun, the fashion, and like the freakiness, if we can say, of letting people just, again, be who they are, try new, exciting, different things. And in a world where nobody really wants to be inside of the box, your store is the perfect place where they can go inside and get out of the box. So I really love that. You alluded to it a little bit. I heard some connections that we might need. And the way that I love to end this is I am all about my favorite networking question I ask people: how can I support you, or who can I connect you to? So in that same spirit, I would like to know what kinds of connections or support would help you continue growing your space, not just for the business, but for the community that you're creating through it.
So I think that, for me personally, when I set out to run this business, I fully intended for it to be a little boutique with me and maybe a part-time employee, and that was going to be it. And obviously it's not that anymore. The trajectory and the growth could not have been predicted. And I don't have a business degree or anything like that. I'm just going based on instinct and what I've learned in the past from other jobs. So I think finding people who can help with next level stuff. You know, how do we bring this? I mean, we're still a small business, but at the same time, we're in a growth scenario that I don't necessarily know what the next step is. So
how to scale, right? Yeah.
Exactly, how to scale.
Ooh, I love that. So thought partners in scaling and just being creative and looking at what next could be, because you have far exceeded that original. Don't you love when you set that original goal and then you like blow it out of the water and you're like, oh, I didn't think we'd get here this far, this fast. And so I love that you said that. Look, I don't know the statistics, but I'm actually going to find them out at this point, because a lot of entrepreneurs don't have that formal business education. And this is where I love to come in and say, I have a business degree And I'm 6 years in and I'm still figuring out the things that I actually don't know, or the things that you just need to learn in real life so that you have that experience. So I love this. So, listeners out there, my friends Amber and Laurie here from Die With Your Boots On, if you would love to be a thought partner in talking about scaling, operations, all the things that allow them to elevate to their next level, you're going to be able to connect with them in the show notes. But Amber, tell us the places where we can find you. Where can we find the store, and where can we find you in these online streets so that we can look at all the things?
So our store is located at 9 Church Street in Salem, Massachusetts. And we are at Die With Boots on Instagram and TikTok. And our website is diewithyourbootson.com, or you can also visit our sister store, the Salem Ossuary.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, we have another store location we didn't even talk about.
Can you believe it?
We sell fancy dresses. We also have plus sizes there. It's at 77 Worth Street in Salem.
I love this. Don't worry, this is not the last time we're talking about this, because I'm looking forward to it. The weather is getting warmer, which means I can go on some road trips, and I'm definitely coming by both stores. We need to talk more about fashion. I need a new conversation starter so that I can specifically send people to your locations when they ask me, where did you get that really cool tote purse, or whatever kind of purse I pick. You'll all let me know what matches me. I appreciate this. Ladies, I just want to say thank you so much. This was a great conversation and getting to know more about you. I've been aware of the business for a long time, but this is the first time I really got to sit down and dive in with you both. So I just want to say thank you so much for being here today.
Of course. Thank you for having us.
Of course. Thank you. All right, friends, that is it for today's episode of Creativity Connects with yours truly, Mikki Wilson. A huge thank you to my friends Amber Newbury and Laurie Moran for sharing not just what they do, but who they are, and for showing us how powerful it is to build a brand and a business that's rooted in true identity and connection. This podcast is brought to you by Creative Collective, a business support program providing modern resources, strategy, and connection for small businesses and creators. Because building something meaningful does not mean that you should be doing it alone. If you want to learn more about Die With Your Boots On, check the show notes for links and ways to connect. And if there's something in today's conversation that resonated with you, I'm going to ask that you please share it with someone who needs to hear it. These stories are truly meant to move and connect us all. So until next time, keep building, keep connecting, and keep showing up as you are. I'm Mikki Wilson, your dot connector, and this is Creativity Connects.